Hello, friends. Welcome to the NFL Week 8 preview episode of Stacking the Box. Iain MacMillan here, Sterling Holmes with me as always. We are going to be going through every single NFL Week 8 game up to Sunday Night Football. Classic showdown on Sunday Night Football this week between the 49ers and the Dallas Cowboys. Sterling, what's going on?
What's up, dude? I'm good. It's a great day here in the Midwest. Things are good, baby.
Good to hear. Good to hear. We're what? Next week is the after next week. We're halfway through the NFL season. It's sneaking up on us.
You seem so
quickly.
sad today, Iain. Why are you so sad?
You know why I'm sad? You know why I'm sad, Sterling? Because I was at 7-2 with my picks last week, and then I lost 6 straight games, including both on Monday Night Football. That's why.
Ooh.
To finish 7-8. So I ended up going from a fantastic betting week, Sterling, to a bad one. And now looking at this week's lines, and we were talking about this before I went live, Sterling, not a lot of games to feel good about if you're betting on the NFL. And of course, I do the stupid thing where I bet on every single game. So I'm nervous. I'm coming into this week off 6 straight losses, and I'm nervous looking at the board.
Well, Iain, without confidence, all we have is our good looks. So I'm going to need you to be confident.
All right. All right, and speaking of getting in on some action here, it is the greatest time of year again because football is back. I mean, if you haven't heard, we're 8 weeks into the season now, and it is here to stay until February, which is fast approaching, to be honest. Over 1 million fans across 33 states got in the game last year by making picks on Underdog. Win up to 1,000 times their money just by choosing higher or lower on your favorite player's stats. I came close with my Underdog lineup on Wednesday night. I once again just missed out on one. James Conner lower than his rushing yards total, and he went a little bit higher. So once again, missed by just a pick. But I did get the benefit. It didn't end up helping out, but Underdog did wipe out my Mike Evans leg of it because Mike Evans got hurt. So I know you talked about that earlier in the week, Sterling. Shout out to Underdog for doing that because it sucks when you lose a play on these things because of an injury. Making picks on Underdog is straightforward, and signing up is even easier. Just head over to Underdog's simple-to-use mobile app or UnderdogFantasy.com. Sign up with the promo code Stacking the Box. That is Stacking the Box, all one word. It's the name of the show, Stacking the Box. And Underdog will give you a free pick to use on your first cash pick'em entry, plus up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you deposit. That's Underdog Fantasy promo code Stacking the Box to claim your new customer special of a free pick in your deposit offer. Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado in some games, 21 plus in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit www.ncpgambling.org. Arizona, 1-800-NEXT-STEP, which is 1-800-639-8783, or text NEXT STEP to 53342. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. You know what else is bothering me today, Sterling, is that my building here in New York shut off its AC and switched over to heat last week. And then, of course, the moment they did that, we're now in the middle of an October heat wave. In my building right now, it is 86 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't know how hot that is in Celsius because that's how I go by things, but I'm sweating. So throughout this entire show, because I had to shut my fan off because now it's going to mess with the audio, I'm going to be physically sweating throughout this show. It's almost November, Sterling. I should not be sweating on October 23rd.
I feel bad for you, man. I do. That's brutal. You lost your bets. You got passed by me in our season-long bets.
Yep.
It's 86 in your building right now, and your favorite team just got a little better.
Yeah. So before we preview week 8, why don't we just go ahead and actually talk about that, Sterling? The Kansas City Chiefs got DeAndre Hopkins. Does it matter?
It's huge.
I disagree.
Well, the Chiefs
go on.
have
I'll
no
let you
wide
go first.
The Chiefs have no healthy wide receivers. Hollywood Brown, Rashee Rice, Juju Smith-Schuster injured. They had to play Sky Moore 47% of the snap count last game. Sky Moore. Do you know how many catches Sky Moore has this year?
0. I don't.
0. Less than the starting left tackle for Kansas City, who has 1. He has less on a good amount of snaps out there, by the way. Mm-hmm. You know where he's ranked in PFF's ranking for receivers this year?
No.
Dead last, and you have to qualify for that. So he has the enough snaps to So my point is here, Ian, this is a big deal. I'm not saying DeAndre Hopkins is going for 1,000 yards or 100 yards a game. I'm saying he can at least catch the football. That's a big deal.
That's true.
That's huge. I think if you expect DeAndre Hopkins to be the same guy that he was when he was 27, you're out of your gourd. But if you're telling me right now he's not better than the rest of the dudes who are currently on the KC wide receiver roster who are healthy, then you're also lying to yourself if you don't think he's an upgrade, because he is. You have to have some nuance with this. He is 32 years old, but he also had 1,000 yards last year with Ryan Tannehill and Will Levis throwing him the rock. Okay? So it is an upgrade. Not this ridiculous one. He does have some injury concerns, but I would expect that hamstring, knee, lower leg injury, whatever it is, to be pretty healthy once he lands in Kansas City. I would be a little surprised if he didn't play against the Raiders. And when I say play, I don't mean 80% of the snaps. I mean a handful here, 5, 10, 15, get him integrated into the offense. But this is a big deal for KC, and you did not give up hardly anything.
Okay, fair enough. A little bit more of a nuanced take than what I was expecting. Because I do mostly agree with you. By the way, I am disappointed in Sky Moore. As a big Sky Moore guy coming out of college, I thought is he done? Is he done? I mean, if you can't succeed on Kansas City, can you succeed anywhere as a wide receiver? Probably not.
I think it's mental. But that's a conversation for another day, because I don't want to get into all this. But if he had new scenery, I could see him being an actual NFL receiver. Not a great one, but like a wide receiver 4 on another team. I could see it. But I think it's mental at this point.
DeAndre Hopkins so far this season played in 6 games, started in 3, 15 receptions on 21 targets, 173 yards, 1 touchdown. To be fair, that is in the Titans offense. That has been one of the worst offenses in the NFL this season. But usually, I mean, he can't not take any of the blame either. He is, supposed to be the top. He was supposed to be the top receiver on that team, and he still didn't play super extremely well. But like you said, it is an upgrade nonetheless. There's going to be an argument to be made for how big of an upgrade it is for the Chiefs, but it is an upgrade. I don't think you can deny that.
Yeah, I think it's a bigger upgrade for the Chiefs than almost any other team in the NFL, just based on where the current receiving core lands right now.
Yeah. Sure. Their odds did not improve this week. Their odds did not improve to win the Super Bowl. None of their futures improved at all.
Well, they're already the favorite. I mean, they're going to be the favorite every single week. So it's not like it's... And they expect Hollywood Brown back at some point, Isaiah Pacheco back at some point this year. Rashee Rice is more of a no, but they're still going to get some pieces back as the season progresses, including Charles Omenihu, the defensive end. So they're playing shorthanded. They're still 6-0. This is good.
Mondo, do you guys do fantasy? If you want to toss a fantasy question our way, we have been known to answer those from time to time. We'll do our best. But let's get started here, Sterling, with going through game by game, our preview for each game, starting with Thursday night, which is an interesting game. It is the Minnesota Vikings against the LA Rams. Vikings coming off their first loss of the season. And you might be surprised. You see it right there on the bottom. The Vikings only 2.5-point favorites in Los Angeles, despite the Rams only having two wins this season and still being one of the most injured teams in the NFL. They do get Cooper Kupp back this week. Is that a big enough difference for them to be able to compete with the Minnesota Vikings?
Yeah, I think the Vikings win. Is this the biggest trap game, though, of all time after the game they just played against Detroit? I mean, it has the makings of it. Obviously, you expended a lot of energy during that game, right? You almost come back. Phenomenal game. Then you have to travel Thursday night. This is a little difficult. The Rams are 6-2 under Sean McVay on Thursday Night Football. Vikings defense is elite, obviously. But it's great for the Rams to get Cooper Kupp back. That's Stafford's blanket. And having your blanket back, how much he plays, we'll see. But, of course, I'm going against Cooper Kupp in fantasy football this week, so that means get ready for 15 receptions on 20 targets. Puka Nakua's window has been opened, right? So you have 21 days. So if you are the Rams, you at least are getting back reinforcements. I think I'm going with the Vikings because they're the better team, but this does feel like a trap game and a game that the Rams are sitting here going, well, no one's taking the NFC West. We're getting reinforcements back. They got a lot to play for in this one.
Yeah, I mean, there's no such thing as a trap game from a betting angle. I mean, the line is what it is, but I would have assumed the Vikings would be much bigger favorites. So when I look at that, I tend to think there's something I'm getting wrong when evaluating this game. So if what I would set the line at is completely different from what the line is, I usually just bet the total instead, which I'm going to in this one. And I'll talk about that at the end of the show when we get to our picks. But yeah, producer Sean has a stat as well that he just sent to us. The Vikings lead the NFL with 24 sacks in 6 games. Rams offensive line is bad. That could prove to be an issue if the Vikings do get pressure. So listen, pro bettors are, I mean, this line opened at 3 and it's gone down to 2.5. So there's a big money coming in on the Rams, even at the original line of 3. So smarter people than us must know something that we don't, because I think the Rams are a bad football team. But yeah, we'll find out on Thursday night.
Yeah, I'm uncomfortable betting this game. I think the under is the best move because of the Vikings defense and because the fact that it's Thursday night football, and Thursday night football typically is ugly football.
Mondo, yes, we'll answer your fantasy football question here. Should I trade Jayden Reed for James Cook? My running backs are Aaron Jones, Hunt, Mason, Pacheco. My wide receivers are Jefferson, Tyreek, Odunze, Shakir, Lazard.
To me, that's the easiest yes of all time. Your running backs, you have Aaron Jones, and then you have Mason for 1 to 2 more weeks, and he's coming up on a bye week, by the way. Christian McCaffrey's going to come back, so that no longer is a viable running back. Then Hunt is a okay back right now. Like, he's getting a lot of carries, a lot of touches, obviously, but he's going to lack some of the explosive plays. And then when Pacheco comes back, they're going to eat into each other, so you're really only going to have one running back left. You're going to need someone. So for the foreseeable, I guess looking ahead, I would for sure make that move because you have Jefferson, Tyreek, Odunze. At some point, Khalil Shakur actually might get a boost of having another wide receiver in Buffalo that allows him to not go up against CB1s. And if that were me, I wouldn't think twice. I would make that trade. I would bring in James Cook because your running back room is going to be hurting pretty soon.
I would say it depends for me how many points you get per reception. If you get half a point per reception, I think yes. If you get a point, I even play in a league that's 2 points per reception, which is insane.
That's
then
dumb.
That boost, that's 2 points per reception is kind of crazy. But if you are in that league, or even 1 full point per reception, then receivers have such a higher value than running backs, and then maybe I wouldn't do it. But if it's either 0 points per reception or even half a point per reception, I would do that trade. Definitely no brainer. All right, let's move on to Sunday's games. No London game this week. We have a Germany game in week 11, I think it is. So no early games for the next handful of weeks here. So let's go to the Tennessee Titans against the Detroit Lions. Lions 11-point favorites. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games this week of a touchdown or more with a point spread. So a lot of big favorites. The first of which, and actually the biggest of which, is the Detroit Lions. The Titans, very good defensively, but that has not mattered this season because their offense has been so bad to the point where it's not even that they're not scoring enough points to be competitive. They're actually turning the ball over and just handing the points to their opponents as well. So how do you view the Titans in this game? Are they good enough defensively, Sterling, to at least hang on with the Detroit Lions, or are the Lions just going to steamroll them?
Man, I don't know. I hate these spreads because of the back door. Like, I don't think this is a game that's ever going to be close.
Right.
Should never be close. But you could be up 17 points. You could be up 17 points, and they score a late garbage time touchdown.
Yeah.
Now they lose by 10.
Yep.
I don't touch games like this for that exact reason. The Lions should, but will is an entirely different situation. Titans defense is solid. We've gone through the numbers. We talked about it last week. But that offense, they've turned to Mason Rudolph now at this point. That's just telling you exactly where they are. They're trying to get Calvin Ridley more involved. I have him in fantasy football this week. I have no idea if I'm going to start Calvin Ridley. I don't know if it's going to help having no DeAndre Hopkins gone, or just defenses are saying, okay, we're just going to double Calvin Ridley because the rest of that team is just buns. We'll see. Lions should win, but I'm not taking them to win by 11. Backdoor in the NFL is too crazy.
Producer Sean says Lions have eclipsed 40 points in 2 of their last 3 games. If the Lions score 40 points in this game, I would say obviously they not only win, but they will cover the spread. I guess the biggest question is, can they score 40 points against a team like the Titans that has been as good as they have been? Let me read off some stats for how good the Titans defense has been. In my long page of notes we're getting here. And I've lost it. They rank, I know they lead the NFL in success rate. They're 12th in opponent EPA per play, and I want to say they're 4th in opponent yards per play as well. So truly an elite defense by most metrics. And I even think it's pretty easily to say that they have the better defense compared to the Detroit Lions. Is that enough, though? So far this season, the Titans have proven that has not been enough. You need some kind of offense. Do we know, Sterling, who's playing a quarterback for them this week?
For the Titans, if it's Mason Rudolph or Will Levis?
Yeah.
I don't. Give me 1 second.
I don't think that's been confirmed yet.
Well, I don't think it matters.
Right. Is there a difference between those two guys? I guess might even be a better question. No, probably not.
No. Let me see if it says who's supposed to start. Looks like it's supposed to be Mason Rudolph.
Yeah. Titans leaning Rudolph, says producer Sean.
Yeah, Brian Callahan said today that Will Levis will probably get another week to rest.
Now, listen, people quick to forget, the Titans were leading the Bills 10-7 at halftime last week. But then the issue was the Bills scored 27 unanswered points in the second half to win 34-10. So you got to find a way to score points on offense. More than 10. How many points do you think the Titans are averaging per game this season?
14.
Yeah, probably not too far off. Points per game, the Titans. 17.7. Can't win games. 17 points. No. 17 points might be enough to cover an 11-point spread, though. We will see. Colts Texans rematch of their week 1 game. The Texans, if you remember, squeaked by the Colts in week 1, won by 2 points. Anthony Richardson obviously back. Houston Texans coming off a tough loss to the Green Bay Packers last week. Texans now 5-point favorite. This line has moved a little bit. It opened at Texans -6. So some big bets have come in on the Colts getting points. Are we going to see a similar result to what we saw in the first game in week 1 between these two teams?
I probably like the Colts with the points. I don't think they win. The Colts are such an interesting team, mostly because of Anthony Richardson. I mean, it really has a little bit of a... Remember when Jameis Winston had the 30-30 season? But it's almost like It's like almost like that, but with legs. Like, he's a great explosive player, but he makes some just atrocious decisions, some atrocious passes. Look how many passes he completes in a game. Like, he completes like 8 passes a game, but each of those passes is like a 20-yard pass. Alec Pierce is averaging over 25 yards a reception this year. It's insane. They have big playability, which almost leads me to the points. It also helps for backdoor covers, right? I'll go with the Texans because I think the Texans are a much better team. I still have no idea who the Colts are, though. I think they're talented, but they're way too inconsistent.
I refuse to touch the Colts with a 10-foot pole while Anthony Richardson is starting. There is a stat that a lot of stat guys in the NFL like to use to measure how good a quarterback is playing. It's EPA plus CPOE composite. Basically, what that means is a combination of EPA, which is expected points added, and CPOE, which is completion percentage over expected. Anthony Richardson is the only quarterback amongst all quarterbacks who have played, I think, at least 100 snaps, who has a negative ranking in that. Dead last by a mile is Anthony Richardson, minus 0.036. I don't really know what those numbers mean, but it is the only quarterback. He's the only quarterback with a negative metric in that. Dead last in the NFL by far. Ironically enough, Joe Flacco's like 4th in the NFL in EPA plus CPOE composite. So as long as the Colts are rolling with Anthony Richardson, I will not be betting on the Indianapolis Colts. He has a sub 50% completion percentage. He's completed, I think it's like 48% of passes this year. And some people do forgive him because he's hit some big long shots and he occasionally has some electric plays and he can run. Not good enough for me, though. Not good. Anthony Richardson has a 50% completion percentage and 41.8 passer rating on the road. Yeah, not good. Okay. Yeah, so I'm all over Houston in that one. Packers and Jaguars. The Jacksonville Jaguars coming home after 2 weeks in London. They went 1-1. I think this is the second straight season now that their second game in London, they've just demolished their opponent. It happened this past week. It looked sketchy at the start against the Patriots, but then they scored a ton of unanswered points, ended up beating the Patriots pretty handedly. Green Bay coming off that last second win against the aforementioned Texans, now hit the road to go to Jacksonville, down to Florida. Might be surprised. This is kind of similar to the Vikings-Rams game. I'm a little surprised by the point spread. And this is also one that, like the Vikings game, the point spread has moved towards the Rams. This line has also moved towards the Jaguars. It opened 4.5 for the Packers, now down to 4.
Yeah, I'm surprised the Jaguars don't have a bye. Back-to-back games in London. You think
I believe the way it works, I think teams have the choice. I think teams who play in London, the NFL gives them the option to have the bye the week after. So if that's the case, Jaguars did not want the bye after, which seems crazy to me, especially 2 weeks in London.
Yeah, I know the Packers played a very tough game, expended a lot of energy, all that stuff, but it's not like the Jaguars had an easy travel back. There's still a lot of questions with Doug Peterson and Trevor Lawrence. I don't see it. The Jaguars' defense, as you've talked about many a time, Ian, is just absolutely atrocious. Sean puts their pass defense, the Jaguars, is 31st in the NFL. Jordan Love slangs the rock, although he is a little inconsistent as well. I need to see some more consistency from him, but this feels like a Packers blowout. What am I missing?
Jaylen in the chat says Jaguars upset Green Bay. Once again, I mean, I don't believe in trap games. I mean, from a betting standpoint, it's not something that sportsbooks don't purposely set a line at a bad line to get people to all bet one side. But if they did exist, this is another one where I'm looking at and I'm like, this seems insane. Like, I don't get why the Packers are only 4-point favorites. We are now 26 minutes into the show, Sterling, so it's about time that I use my favorite phrase, net yards per play. The Green Bay Packers.
We need like a button that anytime you say it, it's like, he did the thing.
It took me 26 minutes. It's pretty good. And what game? The fourth game that we talked about? Fourth game. It took me 4 games to mention net yards per play. Green Bay Packers third in the NFL in net yards per play coming into this week. The Baltimore Ravens and surprisingly the San Francisco 49ers. So Packers have been playing good football when it comes to moving the ball down the field and preventing the other team from doing so. Just to add to the fact of how bad the Jaguars are stopping the pass, 30th in opponent yards per pass attempt, 27th in opponent dropback success rate, dead last in opponent dropback EPA. I think Jordan Love absolutely torches them.
I could not agree more.
Ravens Browns, a lot to watch in this game. We have seen some significant line movement as well. The Ravens were 11.5 point favorites when I bet on this game Monday night. It has moved 3 whole points down to 8.5. That's likely due to the news that Jameis Winston will be starting instead of Dorian Thompson-Robinson, which I think was the obvious choice regardless. Dorian Thompson-Robinson stinks. So now we get to see the Browns offense with a guy who we assume is at least a competent quarterback in Jameis Winston.
Yeah. Which side did you get when you bet it at 11.5?
Browns at 11.5.
That's electric. That's awesome. If you could have given me Browns 11.5, I'm ripping that.
Yeah, and I would not be betting Browns right now at 8.5.
No, I don't think I would either. But if I were going to pick a side, I probably would pick the Browns. If I were if you said you have to pick a side, this is a game that I wouldn't bet. But if you're telling me I have to, I would pick the Browns. This could be the injection that the offense needs. Obviously, I think Jameis Winston will at least throw the football down the field. He'll at least give his wide receivers an opportunity, although his wide receivers are not great with the loss of Amari Cooper, obviously. But don't you feel like this is a time when the team rallies? Like, if you told me the Browns won this game, I'd be like, yeah, they got the boost of Jameis. I wouldn't say it continues, but it's almost like when Andy Dalton started for the Panthers, that one game, and they all just rallied around. Mm-hmm. It works one game. You can win a game when you do that. It's not sustainable, but that first game, crazy things happen.
Yep. First game, if it's a new head coach or new quarterback, first game, crazy things happen. Remember when Jeff Saturday became the head coach for the Colts and they won their first game and then lost like the next 6? But they won the first one. Crazy things happen. Yeah. Here's a great question because producer Sean says the Browns offense has yet to score at least 20 points in a game this season. So I think that might be the question for this game. Do the Browns score 20 points this game? Yes or no?
Yeah, I think I like the overs. Probably my favorite. You know what I'm going to do?
Yeah.
I'll take Browns plus 8.5 and rip the over. That might be something I do on the little mini parlay.
I do think the Browns scored 20 points in this game, and it is something that there are whispers going around about the Baltimore Ravens, but because they keep winning games, the red flag, the cause for concern hasn't been waived yet. But the Ravens defense, not good, especially their secondary. I mean, they almost let Tampa Bay come back down like 31 points in the fourth quarter.
Now, that would have been the greatest backdoor cover of all time.
Yeah, if Chris Godwin, if he didn't get hurt and the Buccaneers score the touchdown there, that'd be the greatest backdoor of all time. 28 points in the fourth quarter. I had him
plus 4.5 or plus 4, whatever it was. Either way, it didn't matter. I was like, oh my gosh, if this hits, I am a genius.
Yeah.
I was not a genius.
Looked like it could have until Chris Godwin got hurt, and then all the wins just came out of their sails. But the Ravens defense, sneakily not good. Even the run defense, which was very good heading into Monday Night Football, the Buccaneers ran the ball against them well. So once again, their offense is so good that it doesn't matter because they continue to win games. And I said this on my podcast, there's going to be a game. I don't know if it's going to be this week. Within these next, I would say 3 to 4 weeks, they're going to play a bad team. Their offense is going to have a little bit of a hiccup game, like every team's offense does a couple times a season, and they're going to get upset because their defense, they can't win these games based on defense alone.
I might sprinkle a little bit on the Browns upset. I might do it.
Wouldn't be shocked. I mean, one of these big underdogs is winning this week. At least one big underdog is winning. It could be this one. All right, let's move on to another big spread, another touchdown spread. It is the Jets 7-point favorites against New England. This is a rematch of a week 3 game. The Jets won that game 23-3, I think it was. That was a home game for the Jets. It is now in New England, and now it is Drake May starting instead of Jacoby Brissett. It was Brissett the first time around. Do we see the similar outcome to what we saw in the first game?
No, I think that the Patriots' offense is obviously much improved with Drake May. I'm not saying it's great, but it's definitely more. They won't score 3 points. The Jets, I don't know. I don't know what to make of them. Tyron Smith has really struggled the past couple weeks at left tackle. I mean, he's been bad. The offensive line starting to get banged up and bad for the Jets. Aaron Rodgers is now starting to get banged up. These are 2 bad teams right now. I mean, I know that the Jets are talented. They have all these players, but like they got waxed. I would take the Jets outright, but this is probably just a real ugly game.
Here's the thing, which is why I think the Jets win big again, is because the issues they've run into is when other teams can pressure Aaron Rodgers, and if it's a secondary that's good. The Patriots can't pressure the quarterback, and their secondary stinks. So it's like a perfect matchup for the Jets offense. I think both teams score more points this time around than they did in the first game. I think Jets might win by 20 points again, but it might be like 30-10 instead of 23-3.
Yeah, that's fair. I just think this is going to be this is a game I don't want to watch.
Yeah, I truly don't care. And yes, Jalen says must win for Jets. Obviously, yeah. If they lose this game, their season's officially over. As I think we talked about on Monday, the Jets 2 wins, but because of how kind of bad the AFC wildcard race has been, still kind of in it. But if they now lose to the Patriots, it's over. One of the more intriguing games of the week might be the one I'm kind of looking forward to the most, actually. And one of the is it the shortest spread this week too? Yeah, Eagles and Bengals. 2 teams who stumbled out of the gates a little bit. Eagles, I mean, they were getting wins, but they weren't looking good in their wins. Now the winner of this game kind of comes out on the other side as like beat like a playoff team.
Yeah,
Jalen, this is my Super Bowl prediction: Eagles over Bengals. I don't know if that'll be the Super Bowl pick, but the winner of this game is kind of fully back in the mix.
Yeah, I think both teams are starting to kind of catch their stride.
Yep.
Eagles getting a little healthier, obviously, at least at some positions. The over-under is 48. I like the over. Maybe that's just too obvious. Both defenses, Bengals especially, is bad. Eagles secondary can be beat. This should be a fun one, man. I don't have a whole bunch of like deep dive in it because I think this is one of those games that I actually want to watch. This is one of the few ones this week where I'm like, I want to sit on my couch, crack open a cold one, and watch this game without being like, who did I bet on? I just want to watch a good game, and I think this will be a good game, a close game. I think the over hits. But if you told me the Eagles won, I would not be surprised one bit.
So the Eagles, what I think is most interesting about the Eagles, their defense got off to a bad start to the year. But actually, if you look over their last 3 games, the Eagles actually lead the NFL in opponent yards per play over each team's last 3 games, giving up just 4.4 yards per snap. So their defense, now to be fair, 2 of those 3 games came against the Browns and the Giants. So they weren't actually, playing elite offenses for sure. But I mean, it is promising, a defense that looked horrific to start the season. I agree with Jaylen. This game should be a Sunday Night Football or Monday Night Football game.
Saquon's been outstanding. Joe Burrow has finally turned it on this year. Again, there's some concerns with his Orlando Brown Jr. is questionable or day to day right now, so that's obviously something to monitor. But still.
Producer Sean says, swapped rookie Cooper DeJean in a slot corner, the nickelback position 2 games ago, which is, I guess, made a difference. Well, once again, those 2 games were against Deshaun Watson and Daniel Jones. But, I mean, they got the job done in those games. A sign of a good team and a sign of good defense is shutting down the opposing teams that you should be shutting down, and they certainly did that. My big concern here, what I think could be the biggest difference maker, is the Bengals can't stop the run. One of the worst run defense in the NFL, 30th in opponent rush EPA, dead last in opponent rush success rate. Eagles might just run the ball game. All right, we got my Falcons against the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers were 2-point favorites in this game, but then the Buccaneers lost both Mike Evans and Chris Godwin on Monday Night Football, and now that has caused the line to flip. The Falcons are now actually reopened at 2-point favorites. Now they're up to 2.5-point favorites. Do the Buccaneers, or let me ask it this way: what do the Buccaneers do now offensively after losing both their elite receivers in one game?
So they've traditionally not ran the football very well. They did against the Ravens, which was a little bit of a surprise. Bucky Irving's getting more involved, and Bucky Irving's really good in all facets of the game. Rashad White is a very good pass-catching back, but the run lanes have not quite been there for him. Cade Otton had a breakout game when those guys went down. You'll see some Sterling Shepard. You'll see what the rookie MacMillan. I bet they still...
My cousin.
Yeah, your cousin. Yeah. I bet they still throw the football a good amount. I mean, that's what the offense is predicated on. I like the Falcons in this one. Like, I know it might be a rah-rah moment for Tampa Bay, but the Falcons are more talented. Though the cornerbacks should be able to shut down Sterling Shepard and MacMillan. Cade Otton, that was fun story. I don't expect Cade Otton to do that every single game, although he made some real tough catches. But dude's got to be feeling it today. Give me the Falcons this one, and I think the Falcons cover.
Yeah, listen, the Buccaneers are just going to try to run the football. There's no denying that. Raheem Morris talked about it in a press conference today. They're aware of that. Their entire game plan heading into this game is going to be to stop the Buccaneers' run attack. And, I mean, if you don't have any elite receivers, then you can just stack the box, pun intended, and really be able to slow down the – there we go. We got to find a way to get stacking the box mentioned every single episode. They're just going to stack the box, shut down the Buccaneers run game, and then they have nobody to throw to, as you mentioned. So as long as the Falcons offense doesn't choke and, turn the ball over 3 times and hand the Buccaneers points, which is certainly possible, as long as they don't do that, the Falcons should win and cover in this one.
Yep.
Cardinals, Dolphins, Tua looks to be back, seems to be trending that way. The betting odds would indicate Tua would be back, because I can guarantee if Tua was not, and they would not be 3-point favorites. Will the Dolphins, if Tua is back, be able to recreate some of that magic from last season, or are we going to see more of the same from Miami?
Yeah, I think you'll see a rusty first game back. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm overthinking this, and he'll step back in, and the Dolphins' offense looks great. I don't see it. I just don't. The Cardinals coming off a big win. NFC West is in play. Remember we talked about it when I said who's a 2-win team that might sneakily make the playoffs? Yeah, it might be the Cardinals. Could be the Cardinals in the NFC West. I wouldn't necessarily put money on it, but I wouldn't be shocked. Kyler Murray has been running the ball very effectively. Trey McBride is outstanding. Marvin Harrison Jr. got open, but Kyler Murray hasn't seen him on some of those deep balls. If he starts seeing him on those deep balls, watch out. That offense is going to open up even more. Greg Dortch, Michael Wilson. The defense isn't great. I kind of like the Cardinals.
Tyreek Hill has a quote here. He says, "Start me this week, baby. Let's go." So Tyreek Hill thinks that he's obviously referring to fantasy football. Tyreek
he talks about every single quarterback like that. He talked about Snoop Huntley. He talked about everyone. They're like, "Oh, he's a Pro Bowler." He likes to yap.
This is what I'll say about this game. And Sean, kind of points to it. He says all of Miami's losses have been within one possession. What's kind of lost in this whole storyline with the Miami Dolphins and how bad their offense has been this season and how boring they have been to watch? Their defense has actually been extremely good. They have kept this team in games with, a plethora of crappy quarterbacks playing for them. And it's not because the offense is finding ways to score. It's because the defense has been so good that all these games have been low scoring. Their defense ranks 7th in opponent EPA per play, 6th in opponent success rate, 7th in opponent yards per play. So by most metrics, they've been a top 10, top 8 defense so far this season. And I don't think they've been getting the credit that they deserve.
That's fair.
So
but does the defense say this week, "Oh, we got Tua back, let's take a week off"?
I hope not. If the defense can keep playing like that and Tua can recreate some magic, which might be a big ask, especially in his first start back, we could see. There's a reason why the Dolphins are 3-point favorites. Bills in Seattle. The Bills are 3-point favorites. I still don't really know what to make of the Seattle team. Help me with this one, Sterling, because are the Seahawks good? Are they bad? Are they average? Are they hot? Are they cold? What are the Seahawks?
They are very similar to Tampa Bay. Different roster construction, but as far as they could beat any team in the NFL and you would not be shocked. They could lose to any team in the NFL and you would not be shocked.
Yeah.
Geno Smith keeps putting up numbers. DK Metcalf looks like he is questionable. He has the minor knee injury, but he's been playing some damn good football. If DK Metcalf is out, I would roll with the Bills easily, because DK Metcalf has been a game changer at wide. Some of the catches he's made has been ridiculous. That one that JSN threw up to him, and he came down in between like 3 guys. Ridiculous. Kenneth Walker is a really good running back. He's a game changer, while Zach Charbonnet is a nice change of pace guy. But the Bills, I think, are a really good team. I think they're a top 3 team in the AFC. They now have a legit wide receiver 1, which helps Dalton Kincaid, which helps Khalil Shakur, which helps James Cook, which helps Keon Coleman.
Right.
If DK Metcalf is out, I'm ripping the Bills in this one. If DK Metcalf plays, I think the Bills win, but this feels a little bit like a push.
I think what I wanted to say earlier when we were talking about DeAndre Hopkins to the Chiefs is that DeAndre Hopkins to the Chiefs isn't what Amari Cooper to the Bills is. Would you agree with that?
Yes and no.
Oh.
I think Amari Cooper is a better wide receiver. I think Amari Cooper helps all the other guys. It's different roles. Amari Cooper is going to also elevate the rest of the players for Buffalo, because Khalil Shakur is not a wide receiver 1. Now he can go back to his traditional role, right? It's going to help Keon Coleman get more one-on-ones, which is a great deep ball 50-50 guy, okay? I think DeAndre Hopkins helps in that the Chiefs needed a legit veteran wide receiver, or a guy that you can at least throw out there and can catch the football. I think it's 2 different scenarios. Amari Cooper helps elevate the top end of the Bills, while I think DeAndre Hopkins helps elevate the floor, at least the wide receiving core of the Chiefs.
Right, but Amari Cooper has a much bigger impact going to the Bills than DeAndre Hopkins. My evaluation of the Bills goes up more with Amari Cooper than my evaluation of the Chiefs goes up with DeAndre Hopkins.
Sure.
Okay. I like the Bills in this game. I think Amari Cooper is going to really add something to this offense. We got to, once again, we're running late as we go through these picks. So we got to rip through these last 5 before we give out our bets. Saints versus Chargers. I think we have to say very little about this game. In my opinion, this is the exact Saints game as last week. They have to now go up against a really, really good defense with probably a rookie quarterback and no other weapons on offense. So,
yeah, but the Chargers have to score touchdowns. Field goals ain't going to cut it.
Yes. Jalen Butler, I'll take D-Hop over Cooper. I don't know about that. I don't have
Jalen. I disagree, man.
Yeah. D-Hop in his prime? Sure. D-Hop right now? No. Chiefs against Raiders. Floor is yours.
Chiefs should wax the Raiders. The whole puppet stuff going on preseason. Raiders talking smack. Antonio Pierce talking about how they have the recipe. They know how to beat the Chiefs. It's Jordan rules. All this stuff. Talked all that smack, and you have 2 wins. You don't have a quarterback. You traded your best wide receiver. You're in no man's land. Christian Wilkins is injured. Dude, this Raiders team is hilarious now. Antonio Pierce talks the talk, and that's all he does. Chiefs should wax them, but 10 points is a lot. Again, that backdoor cover. Andy Reid's not a team or not a head coach that really just, when they're up, they're not the Cowboys. They ain't running play action up 2 scores. They're just going to run the football. I love the Chiefs in this one. They probably win by 10, but 10-point line is probably a little too rich for my taste.
Chiefs have not played well enough to be a double-digit favorite against anyone not named the Panthers or Patriots at this point in the season. So I will take the Las Vegas Raiders.
They have won by 13 against the Saints, and then they won last week 10 against the 49ers. So that's back-to-back double-digit wins. Yeah,
I'm not saying they're not going to win by double-digit points, but if we're talking about a point spread, I don't think they deserve to be a double-digit favorite. Mr. Light Jr.
I think 10's the exact number in my opinion, but that's fair.
Yeah, fair enough. The market would agree with you. Zach Moss and Keenan Allen for J.K. Dobbins is a good trade. Just had accepted this morning. Depends on what side you're on. If you get J.K. Dobbins, yes. If you got Zach Moss and Keenan Allen, unless your roster is just looking for depth, then I don't like it. Because that trade is 2 like average players for a good player.
Yeah, because Chase Brown is really starting to get a lot of the touches. It feels like over Zach Moss, and Keenan Allen's done.
So if you traded away Zach Moss and Keenan Allen for J.K. Dobbins, fantastic trade. You just ripped off the guy that you traded with. All right, Panthers, Broncos. Let's actually, you know what? Let's wait for that game until we get to your picks because we both agree on the same pick for that game. And we really don't need to dive deep into Panthers, Broncos. So let's just jump ahead to Bears, Commanders. It is going to be a crying shame, and it looks like it's going to be the case. At least it's leaning that way if Jayden Daniels doesn't play this game.
Yeah, that blows. This was going to be so much fun. This was going to be, 1 versus 2. This was going to be electric. And now we don't get to see it. At least that's the way it is looking. Could Jayden Daniels pull a Willis Reed and come out and play? It's possible. But I know they look good with Marcus Mariota. That was against the Panthers. The Bears are not the Panthers. Although I will say if they keep it close against the Bears without Jayden Daniels, that tells me more about this Commanders team. So to me, this is a game that you can learn a lot, I think, from the Commanders specifically on how they come out and play without Jayden Daniels.
2 things I want to note in this game. The Bears secondary has quietly been a top 3, top 2, maybe even top 1 secondary in the NFL so far this season. If you look at all the metrics, which would be interesting if Jayden Daniels does play. The other thing is the Bears offense has been clicking their last 2 games. Now they're coming off a bye week. So can they continue? Because they did, and I think we both predicted at the start of the year, stumbled out of the gates, which is expected when you have 2 rookie starters, a new offensive coordinator, a bunch of new pieces who played on other teams last year. But their last 2 games, they started to click. Let's see if they can keep it moving, especially against Commanders defense, which is not a good defense. And then Sunday Night Football, we got Cowboys, 49ers. Cowboys, I mean, what a fascinating game this is, in my opinion, because the Cowboys just might stink. They might just be straight up not a good football team. And the 49ers are a good football team that have injuries on top of injuries on top of injuries.
Yeah, I never understand the Cowboys. They either win big or lose big. So if you're going to bet, have them winning outright or have them losing by 10. There's no in between. The Niners have so many injuries. And if you put pressure on Brock Purdy, as we saw, that was rough. That was rough against the Chiefs. And especially as a quarterback who traditionally has been really good against the blitz, that was surprising.
Well, he didn't have anyone to throw to either, though.
Well, you don't throw to the opposing team.
Yeah, ideally. Well, Patrick Holmes knows all about that.
Yeah, tip ball. Sure. 6-0.
Interesting. 8 interceptions this year? Interesting.
6-0. Weird. How the Falcons doing? Oh, no, sorry. They already lost to the Chiefs. Congrats. I'll probably go Cowboys. Give me the Cowboys in this one.
Interesting. My issue with the Cowboys, 12-5, 3 years before this, or maybe even 4 years before this, Not a great record right now, but like their offensive numbers are terrible. Like bottom 10 in the NFL and everything. Dak Prescott was the runner-up for MVP last year. He's a bottom 10, bottom 5 quarterback this year. I don't know what happened. I'll take 49ers. All right.
Points. Points, by the way.
Points.
Yeah.
Yes. All right, let's get to our best bets for this week. Sterling swept the board last week, 3-0. And as you mentioned at the start of the show, you have overtaken me in the contest. But still, hey, we're doing pretty good with our picks this year. We're both up over 2 units. You are now sitting at 13-8 for plus 4.87 units. Excuse me. I went 1-2 last week, but I'm still up 11-9-1 plus 2.89 units. So let's start with your favorite spread bet this week, Sterling.
Just got to say, look at that. If only I would only bet with what I say on this show, I'd be up way more money.
Yeah.
I should just do that from now on. Sterling, make these bets only. Stop your stupid bets because these are the ones that hit. I'm telling myself now. So when I watch this back, you can see I like learn from this. I'm learning right now. All right. As far as my best spread bet, I ripped the Texans plus 2.5.
That was last week.
Was that last week? Yeah, I'm confused here. Where are we at here?
Your spread bet for this week, I'll help you. You wrote down the Bears to cover against the Commanders.
Yeah. Bears 2.5 over Commanders. I'm like, what the bleep did I do here?
Yeah.
I'm like, no, that's not right. Yeah, give me the Bears 2.5 over the Commanders with Jayden Daniels up in the air, even if he plays. You talked about the great secondary of Chicago. I like the Bears, who are starting to click offensively, to win on the road by at least 3.
I did the opposite thing on last week's show where I read that week's picks when I meant to be reading the previous week's picks. My favorite spread bet this week is the Packers minus 4.5 against the Jaguars. Is it a trap? I don't believe in traps. I don't think they exist. I know they don't exist. Am I missing something and completely misevaluating this game? That is a lot more likely, but I'm just going to trust my numbers and my evaluation of these two teams. And I think Jordan Love is going to torch this Jaguars secondary and win and cover in this game. So I'll go Packers at minus 4.5 against the Jags. Total of the week. We'll finish with upset. I kind of reversed it in our outline here, Sterling, but we're going to go total of the week here. I let you pick first this week, by the way. Credit to me for allowing you to do that. Because I would have put down this total bet. So we both like this total bet.
Yeah, so which means the opposite's going to happen. But I went Panthers Broncos under 43.5. I thought that was a typo. I thought for sure it had to be like 33.5.
Yep.
43.5 for a great defense with an offense that can't score in the Broncos, and the Panthers offense is buns.
Yep.
What am I missing here?
And the Panthers offense, kind of an underreported thing. Andy Dalton got in a car accident this week, so he's okay. He was at Panthers facility this week. But I mean, is there a chance Bryce Young goes back in? And if that's the case, the Panthers will get shut out against the Broncos. Even with Andy Dalton, I mean, they might score at most 7 points, 10 at absolute most. I have no idea, truly no idea why the total of this game is in the 40s. It makes no sense to me. Unless sportsbooks think the Broncos are going to win 38-6. And this is 43.5 is crazy for these two offenses, plus arguably the best defense in the NFL. So yeah, I like that. But since you already took it, I went Vikings Rams. So I went Thursday Night Football. I took the under. Another high total. I mean, under 48 for the Vikings defense, which has proven to be a top 5 defense in the NFL. Now they stumbled a little bit last week, but that was against the Lions. I can forgive that. And the Vikings offense has kind of been average. They've stepped up in big moments, which is worth something. But for a game involving one team that has an average offense and an elite defense, I don't know why the total's at 48, especially on Thursday Night Football.
I'm nervous because that was the first one I put until I decided the Broncos-Panthers one I liked even better.
Right.
I put
so parlay both overs then.
Yeah, somehow.
Actually, don't, because why are we saying this, Sterling? We're winning betters this season. It's not like we have bad records.
Plus 4.87 units. I'm just 13-8 this year.
Yeah, so let's have some confidence. These are easy bets because they're the right bets because we're smart. Upset of the week, Sterling.
Cardinals over Dolphins. I'm going with it. Even with Tua back, even if he plays, I like the Cardinals in this one. I know the Dolphins defense keeping him in games. I think Tua's going to be rusty his first game back. It's going to be emotional. They'll have a lot to play for, all that stuff. Give me Kyler Murray and the Cardinals offense. I'm rolling with it.
I'll take the Eagles plus 105 against the Bengals. It's a little bit better odds earlier in the week, but the lines come
big
down.
upset from Iain.
Well, no,
Whoa.
Sterling. My actual upset of the week is a much bigger upset, but we can't talk about that pick on this show. So maybe we'll talk about that on Monday morning. So because of that, I had to shift to a different one, and I'll take Eagles instead. So we'll talk about that more Monday morning. But Eagles plus 105 against the Bengals. I think they're just going to be able to run the football offensively, and I do like how the Eagles' defense has looked recently. So I'll take the Eagles to upset the Bengals.
All right.
All right, that is the show. Be sure to subscribe to Stack in the Box on YouTube. We'll be back, as always, Monday morning, 9:30 a.m. Eastern, to recap Sunday's slate and then get you ready for Monday Night Football between the New York Giants and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Thank you all so much for watching and listening. If you're watching this on YouTube or if you're listening to it, head over to the Stack in the Box YouTube channel, subscribe to it, and a bunch of new interviews that Sterling and I have done with some NFL players recently. I know my most recent one, I talked to Vernon Davis, former NFL tight end. Sterling, your most recent interview?
Yeah, we had Puka Nacua, Jamal Charles. We've had a few ones. Been good. Been fun.
And those go up all the time. So be sure to check those out as well. Thank you all so much for watching and for betting this week. Best of luck. Sign up for an account at Underdog Fantasy and use the code STACK in the Box. Thank you all so much for watching. We'll talk to you Monday morning.